Last week was a climactic battle marking the end of the prologue of God of High School, while this week started setting seeds for a promising beginning for the rest of the story. Numerous plot threads and hints that we've gotten so far started to come together, bringing themselves to the forefront of the story, providing us with some much needed lore of this mysterious universe. And more importantly, revealing the point of this tournament even taking place and everything going on in the background. So let's get into God of High School Episode 6, Fear/6. The episode opens up with Mori's grandfather, Jin Taijin. This is the first time where we've really seen him do anything in the story. He's sitting in a field outside of his house, waiting for someone or something. As soon as he says this, a ton of cloaked members show up and try to convince him to join. They start spouting nonsense at him, saying that it's his destiny or it's his fate to join, but Taijin, being the kind of character he is, just references that he tells his son that their family motto is to do whatever the hell they want, so he refuses to join. Then the leader of these cloaked members show up, and even he can't convince him. He simply says, "May God be with you," and sends a huge blast at Taijin, which implies that he was either caught or dead, but we'll see what really happens to him later in the episode. And right after this scene, we go back to Mori, who ominously falls asleep wondering about the fate of his grandfather. Just like previous weeks, this scene before the opening tends to show us things going on around the universe that aren't directly related to the tournament but are still really important to the story. With the conclusion of this scene, we get the opening of the show. I originally thought that we would get a new opening. I thought that they might keep the same song but at least give us some new visuals, since the visuals in the current opening only cover things up to episode 5 of the show. But we didn't get any new visuals this week, so I think we'll either get it next week or they'll just keep the same opening for the rest of the season, which isn't too bad either. Anyway, after the opening, we get a similar scene to the one that we had last week. The nurses are doing an update segment for the TV station where God of High School is broadcasted. This week they're joined by Commissioner Q and Commissioner O. As they're talking, we see this consistent quirk with Q being broke and needing money, even saying that he'll smile and act friendly on camera if O pays him for it. As they're talking about the future of the Nationals and the God of High School tournament, it's revealed that the Nationals will actually be team battles consisting of teams of 3. I think this was pretty obvious since we've been introduced to 3 main characters so far, and Daiwi, Mira, and Mori. It would seem kind of weird to see them fighting in the Nationals or only seeing Mori progressing, since they're already such important characters. After the revelation that the team battles will be fought in teams of 3, we need to have a 3rd place match, so we have Mira versus Jaihee battling for the 3rd place. This is more of just a joke match. Jaihee does get some hits in, doing some acrobatic flips, but Mira inevitably just one-shots him. After the fight ends, we go back to the commissioners talking, and Mubong reveals why the format was changed to include the top 3. He looks over the files from all of the contestants and reiterates that the purpose of the tournament is to find something known as the key. He says that at least one person in the top 3 from all across Korea definitely has the key, so the format was changed to include all of them. Even though they're talking about all of the contestants, it's still focused on Ilpyo and Jagal since they'll be major players in the upcoming tournament. As the commissioners continue to talk, they also finally reveal the name of the shady organization to be Nox. They were the ones behind the plot to take Mira's sword, and they've also been active in the Gangwon and Jeju regions of the preliminaries, and one of these regions is actually Jagal's area. With this revelation, plus him watching the tournament last week, it's really starting to seem like he'll be a major threat for this season. And just as Nox is revealed, Mubong tells the rest of the commissioners that he's also summoned the 6 to counter them. When the conversation ends, we go back to the main 3 walking home from the tournament. And here we see their usual antics, with Mori causing a scene while walking, jumping up and down, and Mira and Daiwi not wanting to be seen with him. Mori says that his goal is to get stronger since it's cooler to be strong than weak. While Mori is giving this speech, he falls behind Mira and Daiwi and walks by an old man who suddenly disappears. And before we even get a chance to wonder if this man is going to be important in the future, we see him laying on the grass as Mubong approaches him, informing us that he's actually a member of the 6. The old man instantly gets up and jabs Mubong through the chest, but what he stabbed ended up disintegrating, and it was just some sort of illusion created by Mubong. Old man says that he met Taijin's grandson in Mori, which we saw in the last scene, and he says that he's really impressed that he's fine after eating the sage pill. And for you guys that don't know, the sage pill was the strange circular fruit that Mori ate a couple episodes ago before fighting Commissioner Q. The old man says that he wants to be Mori's mentor to get revenge on Taijin. Although he says he's doing this just to get back at Taijin, it seems pretty apparent to me that he's also doing this because he sees some potential in Mori, as he was able to eat the sage pill without having any negative effects. And just as they finish their conversation about Taijin and his grandson, we cut back to Taijin's conversation with the Nox members. Taijin does a kick that knocks out a lot of Nox members and also causes a massive crater. Jokingly says he doesn't like fighting because he ends up destroying nature and everything beautiful around him. As he does this kick, the Nox leader is just watching from a mountain and says, "The world will soon see its end. Our god will descend." After making this declaration, he forms a spell in the sky and a giant sword comes out of it. Just the part of the sword that we see is bigger than the mountain that he's standing on, and it drops on Taijin's head, who calmly stands there, presumably tanking the attack. And then we go back to our main three, this time focusing on Mira. This part of the episode's really fast paced, and it's going to jump between Mira, Daiwi, and Mori all having their own little mini adventures. So starting with Mira, she's at the store and meets the announcer of the God of High School tournament, Bongsa there. He tells her that the real fight is only beginning. As they're talking, Bongsa starts encouraging Mira and tells her that she can do better with her moonlight sword style. And then this conversation is cut out with Daiwi and Mubong. Daiwi is just chatting with Mujin about the rest of the tournament and competing in nationals. Mujin wanted to make sure that Daiwi would keep fighting even though his friend was already dead. Here we see Daiwi's resolve and he wants to keep on fighting, but Daiwi says he wants to know about the strange power at work that's going on in the background of this God of High School tournament. Specifically, he wants to know about Judge Q's Joker and the man that was trying to marry Mira. Mubong tells him that this power is called Cheriok, but before we get any more details, we switch scenes yet again to Mori at the park. He's stretching and thinking about ways to train to get stronger, but then he sees some kids who have a balloon stuck in a tree. He jumps up to get the balloon, but as he falls, he sprains his ankle. As soon as he touches the ground, Bongchim suddenly appears and stabs at his ankle using his needle style, instantly healing it. And this was Mori's introduction to Bongchim, who would shortly become his teacher. Before we get any more development in this, we cut back to Mira and Bongsa. Bongsa gives Mira some advice about moonlight sword style, saying that she has to put her feelings into the sword and all of her slashes. He also reveals that it was a moonlight sword style user that blinded him. And one interesting thing about that is because of the way the sword style is passed down and Bongsa not looking too old, the person that blinded him is most likely Mira's father, potentially her grandfather, but it's more likely it was just her father that blinded Bongsa. After the conversation with Mira, he starts to walk away with his wife, but senses something dangerous and sends her away to the car with his young daughter. It was the pink bunny. He burns the costume away, revealing he's a Nox member. We don't actually see this fight, and we cut back to Mubong and Daiwi. They continue their conversation about Cheriok, and Mubong tells Daiwi that everyone at the national tournament will have it. He says that it's borrowing power from supernatural beings, and he says drawing forth the powers of the gods and making them one's own is what God of High School is about. And if you've been watching this series pretty closely, this is what Mubong was probably talking to Judge P about in the first episode when he says what God of High School is really about. And then we get the proper introduction of two prominent characters for the rest of the season, Ilpyo and Jigal. They're standing in someone's backyard and Jigal strikes Ilpyo, but Ilpyo blocks it, saying he won this encounter. Then Jigal forms a black hole with teeth along the perimeter below Ilpyo, but Ilpyo burns it instantly, saying that Jigal won that encounter. We see that Ilpyo and Jigal have some kind of rivalry through this encounter, but Ilpyo seems a lot more happy and easygoing and just genuinely good, while there's some darkness around Jigal and his power. After that intro, we get another intro. It's a team of 2 males and 1 female, just like our protags. The males seem closer to one another, and one is a full-on adult. We don't get much else from this scene, then we cut to another member from another team, Jugok. He's praying about the tournament and then tells his grandfather that he will bring honor to the family by winning it. And then we get the long-awaited montage of all of the 6 members. The first is Jugok's grandfather, and he's revealed as the Six's great magician, John Jason. Then we get a homeless man, and he's delivered a card, and he's revealed as 6-member Hulk Seo Hall Yang. Next, a mob boss known as 6-member Loan Shark Kim Dushik. then one that we've already been revealed to, 6th member Divine Doctor Na Bongchim, and then a more mysterious 6th member. We don't actually see her here, we only see an outline, but instead of the card being given to her, it's actually stuck in a door where she's locked, implying that she's sealed or she locked herself in there. And this member is 6 Rebirth Kim Eunyo, and last but not least, the 6 is Tiger Cub Park Moojin. After these short introductions, Mira and Daiwi come over and see that Mori's living alone. Mira says that she's injured her shoulder and it's a little tight after training, and then Mori uses pokes to heal Mira's shoulder. We didn't get to see much of Mori's training with Bongchim, but it's implied that he did learn something since he used the pokes to heal Mira just like Bongchim did to heal his ankle. As they walk back to the tournament, Daiwi tells them about Cherryok and then they run off excited to participate in the upcoming round. The next match will be our protagonist team representing Seoul versus the team representing North Chungcheong. But something's already out of place. Instead of seeing the normal announcer, we get a new announcer hyping the tournament, and as soon as Mira wonders why it's a different person, the commissioners react to the news that Bongsa was found dead in a pool of blood, noting that Nox must already be on the move. All the commissioners are distraught learning the fate of Bongsa, but with Q not being there, O thinks that something might be up and that he might be in danger. Then we cut to Commissioner Q's apartment where he sits on the ground, presumably unconscious, with a giant pole sticking through his midsection. This episode was really good. Probably even better than last week. We were finally given the real reason why the tournament exists, and it's only gonna get better from here. I think next week we could get new visuals for the opening and ending. I'm looking forward to next week's episode, and I'll have a video out tomorrow covering all cut content from this episode. If you have any suggestions or just love God of High School, leave a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe.